One thing people love to say about Squarespace is, oh, it's so boring, you can't do anything unless you know how to code, but that's just simply not true. In this video, I'm going to show you some easy ways to spice up your website using zero code, all built-in features within Squarespace. So let's get started. First up is the split screen sticky scroll effect. That's a tongue twister, but it's super easy to do. This is a fun way to show off some galleries, maybe a services section, whatever you want to use it for. So let's hop into Squarespace and I'll show you how to get it done. So go ahead and add a new section and then go to blank section. And what you're going to do is add a shape block right here. So I'm just going to go into edit section real quick and toggle off the fill screen section. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag this down. You do want to keep in mind that you need to have it be a little bit bigger than what the actual section is going to be. That way it takes up that whole left section of your page. Now what you can do is go ahead and pin that to the top. You don't have to do any offsets or anything like that for this section. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in some text, and you're going to want to go ahead and pin this as well. Now if you just pin it straight to the top without doing anything, you'll notice that it will scroll and then go up to the very, very top. So that's where the offset comes in handy, because you can move this around and you'll see that now it will be stuck a little bit below that top section. So you'll see right there that that is now stuck onto the side. Now you can go and add either a button or maybe a body of text down here. Once you have your section designed however you see fit for your website, now you can start adding in all of your images to the right side. So go ahead and add in an image. And you can make these as big or as small as you want. So keep in mind, you can really customize it however you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and upload an image. For this, I'm going to make sure that this is set to fill. And I'm also just going to realign that image right there. I'm also going to add a corner radius to this, just like that. And you'll see right away that this will already start having the split screen scroll effect. Now from here, what I like to do is add the title of either the gallery or a button for them to click onto, just to help the user navigate this section a little bit better. So I'm going to keep it like this so they can see the title of the gallery as well as a button in order to click through to that gallery. So whatever you're having this section set up for, you can change this accordingly, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. Now from there, what you're going to do is just go ahead and duplicate that section, and you can just drag it down and you'll see that again, we have that split screen effect. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the next 4 sections, and then you'll see the final result at the end. All right, so I have all of my gallery images uploaded into this section. So as you scroll, you'll see that the left-hand side of your screen will stay in place while your images scroll past. Next up is going to be a stacking canvas. This is my personal favorite. You'll see that I use these a lot. This is a great way to just highlight some services or your process, whatever you want to put in this section. It's just a really fun way to add some animations to your website. So go ahead and add another section. Go ahead and add a blank section. And again, I'm just going to toggle off the fill screen effect. What you're going to do is go ahead and add another shape block. And again, this can be whatever color you would like for your block. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you can style this however you want. I'm going to go ahead and add a stroke around, and I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little bit smaller. Now what you're going to do is go ahead and add in your text, your images, whatever you intend to put on this section. I'm going to do a services section, so I'll design that and then come back once I'm ready. So once you have your section created, we're going to utilize the pin feature again. Now I have to preface this and say that this can be a little tedious to get the aligning right, but just stick with me here. So you'll notice that obviously we don't have anything pinned yet, so this is just going to scroll on past to the next section. What I'm going to do is click the pin, and if you scroll down a little bit and then you do your offset, you'll see that your box will move, or whatever element. So you'll see that now that box is stuck at the offset. So it's not at the very, very top, it's a few pixels below. So we'll see that that is set to 19. I'm going to do the same thing with the text. So again, I'm going to scroll down a little bit to where this catches, and then I'm going to go ahead and set the offset. So I can go ahead and see like that. So we'll see now that that is stuck at the top. So since these are on the same line, I'm just going to go ahead and make this 29 pixels as well. So anything that's usually within the same line on the grid, you can just have it stuck at the same exact pixel size. So I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same process for everything else on this page. And again, this is a little bit tedious because it is a little bit of trial and error to kind of see where things stick, but the end result is worth it. So you'll see now that everything is pinned, that it will just stay to the top until we get down to the bottom canvas. So it's important to note that you'll want to make your section a little bit larger in order to accommodate the rest of the stacking sections. So I'm going to go ahead and just raise this to 90 for now. You can always go back and adjust that later on. So you'll see now that that is stuck to the top when we scroll. And what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and duplicate this and drag it down. Now we need to adjust the position of the second one because you'll see that once it scrolls, it is behind the rest of this. So what you can do is just go ahead and make sure that everything is set to the top layer for this second section. Now that I've adjusted the positioning for all of my elements, I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this shape. And obviously you'll change the text to whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it for the sake of this video. But now you'll see that when you're scrolling, our canvases will now stack. So you can repeat that for as many different stacking canvases that you would like. So you'll see right here that I did it with 3, but you can do it for however many you would like. The process is the exact same. One thing to keep in mind is that you will need to go in and adjust everything individually on the mobile because yes, you can pin stuff on the mobile, but it's going to be different than on the desktop. So you will have to do that individually. Now, if you want to have an offset for your canvases, so say for example, it gets caught right here, you're gonna go ahead and go in and adjust the offset for all of these little sections. So the easiest way that I find to do this is drag this up underneath where the line meets right there. And you're going to go ahead and drag this offset a little bit down. So you'll see right there that now it's going down. I want to make sure it's right underneath that line. So when I go to scroll, you'll see now that that canvas gets stuck right there. And I will need to repeat that process for all of the text and everything else within this section. So again, just click on your pin, go ahead and drag this until you see it move, and then just align that onto the canvas. There's probably a way to do this where you can like calculate the math with everything with the offset. I personally am not good at math, so I don't know if someone has an easier way to do that. Maybe you can drop a comment, but this is just the way that I found works the best. So go ahead and go in there and adjust all of your offsets. So you'll see right here now that that is getting caught underneath that top canvas. So again, you're just going to repeat that process all the way until you have something that you like. Keep in mind, this slider only goes up to 250. So you will have to go in and adjust that number manually, but it's just a little bit of trial and error. You'll eventually see what works and what doesn't work. Again, if someone has an easier way to do that, please let me know because this is just the way that I've been doing it. So I have that second canvas done. So you'll see once I start scrolling, now that will get caught right there. So again, you would just repeat that process for all of your stacking canvases until you have it look exactly how you would like. Keep in mind, your numbers may look a little bit different than mine, especially if you have larger or smaller text. So again, it's all about trial and error. It's a little tedious, but like I said, the end result is definitely worth it. So next up, we have the sticky text effect. Now there are so many different ways that you can utilize this. So I'm just going to show you a couple ways. Go ahead and add another section, do a blank section, and I'm going to go ahead and add some text. So go ahead and add in your text. I'm going to leave my text pretty large for this section, but you can do your text however big or small you would like. So you're going to want to make sure to adjust the size on your grid. Make sure that your section is pretty large in order to get this effect. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that everything is good. So you're going to go ahead and pin this section to the top again. So you can adjust this and that looks good like that. And then all you're going to do is just go ahead and add in your images. Once you have all of your images uploaded, you can just stagger them throughout the canvas however you want to. You can also align the images to either be above or behind the text to kind of add a little bit more of a visual engaging element. So just go ahead and move some of these backwards and you'll see right there that that will scroll behind the text as you are moving through. This is a really cool way to just like add some visual interest to your website without really doing a whole lot. You can also do an overlapping section. So say for example, I'll just take this exact canvas. Now you get down to the bottom and usually what happens is it'll just scroll straight into the next canvas. But what you can do is actually add a either a shape block or for this example, example, I'll just do a full width image. So go ahead and grab your image and stretch that out to be the full width. I'm just going to go ahead and drag this down so it's a little bit larger. And then I'm going to resize this up. So you'll see as you're scrolling, now we have this section that completely covers that canvas. So you can go ahead and add in your image. Go ahead and make sure that that is set to fill the entire screen. And then you can also just choose where that is, where the image is laying. Now I like to add a little bit of an overlay for this section just to kind of help text stand out. And the way that I like to use this is to have this for a call to action. So I'm going to go ahead and add some text and a button. So now as we scroll through, you'll see that as soon as we get down to the bottom, that will overlay that section. And it's almost like an overlaid section without having to do any code. So you can use these for call to actions. You can use them for another section on the website. If you just want to do, instead of the image, you can also just do a shape block and add your text or whatever you want on top of that. And it will do the same exact thing. So that's a cool way to, again, just add some uniqueness to your website without just statically scrolling down to the next canvas. And last but not least, we have this section where you can do a scrolling marquee that is layered with a bunch of elements. And this is just a cool way to showcase your about section or maybe a gallery section. So go ahead and add in your blank section and then add a shape block. I'm going to go ahead and keep it like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some text. So a header and some body text on the side. All right, so I have my text. Now what we're going to do is add a block and then go down to scrolling. Now I like to drag this down to the very bottom of this section because for some reason, I don't know why Squarespace does this, but when you add different elements and then you try and reshape them or resize them, it will basically realign everything else on the section. I don't know why it does that, but I like to bring it down to the bottom to avoid having to adjust anything. So go ahead and put in your text. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a lot larger. So go into text size. I'm going to make that, I'm going to drag this up actually pretty large. Maybe not that big, maybe like that. And then I'm also going to just slow this down so it's not as fast. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this up to the top like so. And what you're going to do is just send that all the way to the back behind everything. And you're just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. And I like to change the direction. You don't have to, you can keep everything going the same direction, but I like to have them alternating. And again, you're just going to make sure that this is sent all the way to the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this one more time with both of these like so. And then I just need to make sure that this is sent to the back. And then I'm going to resize this box on the left. And then drag this up, and then all that's left is to add in your image, or you're just going to go ahead and resize that just like that. And there you go. Now you have a really cool, unique way to add some subtle movement onto your section. So that is it for today's video. If you liked the video, make sure that you hit the like button and make sure to subscribe. I will be coming out with a whole series on designing within Squarespace and Showit to show you guys some cool ways to spice up your website. So with that being said, that is it for today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one.